Hey YouTube, I'm Anthony.
I'm Monica.
And we're the cooks.
You got it.
I got it.
You
I
got
did
it.
that. Okay.
That's cool. So, you asked me to be your wife.
I gotta take these off. Yes, which is one of the best decisions I ever made, but okay, yes.
Yeah. I want to tell you some things, okay?
Okay.
I want to tell you that I'm flawed. I want to tell you that I have insecurities.
Okay.
I want to tell you that I'm going to mess up. Sometimes it's going to be pretty big.
Okay.
I want to tell you that sometimes I'm going to be impatient. I might think I'm smarter than what I really am.
Okay.
I have low self-esteem sometimes, I have self-body image problems.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't really feel secure in who I am, and I don't come from a perfect family.
Okay.
I have a lot of baggage, a lot of stuff, and sometimes I'm gonna probably make you want to kill me.
Okay.
Sometimes you might even say, "What the heck have I gotten myself into?" I'm gonna say things that'll hurt you.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna be the perfect wife. I'm not gonna be the perfect mother, and I'm definitely gonna mess up. I can't tell you how many times I'm gonna mess up.
Okay.
I just want you to know that I'm imperfect.
Okay.
But God.
Wow. That was a lot. So after 27 years together and nearly 25 years of being married, I don't know. I'm kind of glad you didn't tell me that before we got married. I'm kind of glad because I think that every married couple, especially, us, you guys, everybody, we kind of go into marriage and we go into marriage thinking that everything is going to be perfect and everybody's going to be flawless. And that's not the case. I want you to know I have major issues. I grew up in not the best situation, not the best environment. And even though I grew up in those things, and I might think in myself that those things didn't affect me, I'm wrong. I do know that some of those things did affect me. I am going to be imperfect. I am going to be impatient. There's going to be times that I'm going to say the wrong thing, that I'm going to snap, that I'm not going to always make the very best decisions as far as our household and our family, but I'm going to try. I want you to know that I have bad habits, and I'm going to do the best that I can to provide and protect and to pamper. But I know that there's a lot of times that I'm going to fall short. I know that a lot of times I'm going to get mad. I'm probably going to yell. I know that I scream, not often. But God.
Now, when people get married and you say your vows, these are the things that you don't hear. Because when you stand before God and all your witnesses, you say for better or for worse. But in our minds, I don't think we ever think what the worst could be. And a lot of times, it's pretty bad than what we could ever imagine. The things you go through in your marriage. That's why this ministry, this calling that we have, this marriage that God has blessed us with, that's why it's so important for us to bless other marriages.
Yeah.
Because these are the things that you have to work through as a married couple. And these are the things that are hidden and normally come out in a marriage, and they are truly the life or death of a marriage.
Yeah, you're right. And when you do this little exercise, You know, when we got ready to do this video, my wife didn't tell me what we were going to do. She just said, we're going to do a video and you just follow my lead. And so do this with your spouse. Sit down and be open with your spouse and tell them, I have this imperfection. I know that this is wrong with me. I know that this is wrong with me. I know that I do this, and this. But when you do that, not only are you voicing it out to them, but what it does is it does like a self-reflection.
Exactly.
You know, it makes you take a look at yourself. When you speak those things out, you're actually talking out, hey, these are my imperfections. These are the things that are wrong with me. But at the end of it, when you take a look at it and you say what you said, but God, realize that we are born, created, and made as imperfect creatures. But through God, we search and we reach for perfection. So when you start talking about all of your imperfections, realize that all your imperfections aren't necessarily just you. You know, I realize that a lot of my imperfections have a lot to do with the way that I grew up, how I grew up, the people that I saw, the relationships I saw, the people that I was surrounded by. But in all of those, and a lot of the imperfections that I have are totally me. Sometimes in my own ego, my own personality, my own attitude, my own wants, my own desires, because we're selfish creatures as humans.
Exactly.
Through all of my own desires and the things that I want, my imperfections come out. But when you take God and put God into the equation, he can work those things out. When we first got together, I remember that you would wake up in the mornings and I would look and I would be like, okay, how is she going to be this morning? What is she going to be like this morning? And some people wake up and they're morning people. And some people wake up and they are far from morning people. When me and my daughter, when we walk through the house in the morning, we see each other and it's, and that's the way we say good morning to each other, you know. But with my wife, long time ago, I'd say probably 23 years ago, when she would wake up, I would go, okay, is she going to be in a good mood? Is she going to be in a bad mood? Da, da, da. How is she going to wake up? And when I talked to her about it, instead of her catching an attitude with me and saying, I don't know what you're talking about, you're wrong, that's just the way that I am, I've always been that way, that's the way that I'm going to be, I haven't had my morning coffee. Instead of her putting any of those excuses out there, she said, you know what? You're probably right. And I'm going to seek the Lord and see. I'm going to start praying and asking the Lord to help me to not be that way. And when she started praying and asking the Lord, Lord, change this thing that's in me, I noticed that her personality changed. Her attitude changed. She woke up with a spirit of praise to the Lord. And when her, go ahead.
You want me to tell you something? Here's the thing, because I truly believe that I was created perfect. I really do.
Okay.
I believe that I was created perfect.
Looking at you,
but
you're pretty close.
The thing about it is, because I have a perfect daddy, I was created perfect. But you have to think, you came into this world and somebody took your blank sheet of paper and started writing on it, started
scribbling on it.
Yeah, all the experiences, all the things in your life, they come from people. Not necessarily from God per se. Because what happens in a marriage is you start to find out who you really are. Do you want to be what you came from, what you think you are, or do you want to be what God called you to be? Do you want to be a good wife? Because perfection will never be reached in a human being on this earth.
No.
It's only found in one person. But you have to decide, what do you want to be in your marriage? Do you want to be overbearing? Do you want to be dominant? Do you want to belittle your wife or your husband? Do you want them to feel like they're your footstool? Do you want them to know that you love them unconditionally? You know, what is your purpose in your marriage? What are your desires for your marriage? And once you figure these things out, then you can start taking a self-evaluation and seeing, okay, well, how am I going to reach that if I'm like this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I can honestly say that once she started praying, because just like you said, but God, you know, if she would have stayed in her rut, stayed in the way that she was, just accepted it, I would have just accepted it. I would have eventually said, okay, that's just the way that she is. But when I acknowledged it and she received that acknowledgement and she said, hey, you know what? Maybe you're right. And she started to pray about it, but God. And when God stepped in, now to watch her in the mornings, my daughter and I, we look and we like, okay, I used to look to be like, man, what is she going to be like? Now me and my daughter, we look like, man, I hope she don't wake up because she going to start singing. She want to talk. She want to praise. She want to have her praise and worship music going. She want to. And we walking around like, So when you take a look at those imperfections and you voice those things out and you do that exercise where you talk them out and you say, hey, I'm imperfect in these things and I have these issues, don't take this as an exercise to be able to point the finger and say, you do this and you do that and you don't do this and you do that. When you have that exercise and you're open and you're honest and you speak out and you say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm like this and I'm like that, what you're doing is by putting it out there, you don't have to tell them. They will, just like when I was sitting here and I was telling you my imperfections, and I have a whole lot more of them that I probably didn't mention because you caught me off guard. But when you talk about those things, you don't have to point the finger at that person and say, oh, well, you're like this and you do this and you do that, or yeah, you do, or yeah. No, you don't have to do that. Once you voice them out, then go to your individual corners and say, but God. When my wife talked about somebody taking your blank sheet of paper, imagine having that blank sheet of paper and somebody taking your sheet of paper. You know how we were selfish when we were little kids, and your crayons, and they take it and they draw a picture on your paper and they scribble on your paper and they draw on your paper and they write their names on your paper and then they give it to you and say, here, this is yours. Do with it, work with it. This is yours now. Yeah, I scribbled all over it. This is yours. Well, if you took a sheet of paper and you scribbled on it and you colored on it and you wrote on it and you drew on it and you put all kinds of colors on it and all this other kind of stuff, it's kind of like being able to take that picture and taking it to your parents and say, look what my little brother did. My little brother wrote all over it and they scribbled all over it and they made it all messed up and they tagged on it and they graffitied on it. And that's the way that you're looking at it. That's the way that you look at it. You look at it as it's been tattered and it's been destroyed. You can take a look at your life and you can say, my life is that piece of paper and my daddy did this and my mother did this and my cousins did this and we didn't have any successful marriages in our family and everybody did this and this person was a drug addict and this person was an alcoholic and my piece of paper is messed up. But what if you took that piece of paper and I didn't have a daddy growing up, but I have a daddy now in Christ. So imagine me taking my sheet of paper that's been scribbled on and wrote on, and me taking it to my daddy and saying, look what they did. Look how they messed up my paper. Look how they messed up my life. And what if your daddy took that piece of paper and he started to fold it and shape it and fold it and shape it, and he made it into an airplane? Or he folded it and he shaped it and he made it into a little boat. Or he folded and he shaped it and he made it into a hat. Or what if he took it and he folded and he shaped it and he made it into a crown? And then he took that crown and placed it on your head. It wouldn't matter the way that the paper looked. It wouldn't matter how the paper looked in the beginning or during the process. The only thing that will matter is that you took it to your father. Your father took a look at it and your father said, it doesn't matter what's happened in the past. What I'm doing is I'm going to shape it and form it and I'll make it into a blessing for your future.
And that is a choice because you can either take that paper and you can add to it and keep doing the same things, keep repeating the same things that are on that paper, or like you said, you can take it and you can say, this was my reality. This is now my reality and my future.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. We're back.
We're back. So we love each other. And we love you guys. And we love what God is doing in us to be able to bless you.
Yes.
So in everything, this entire total process is so that 1
plus 1
plus 1 equals 1. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. 1 to 10 pounds, execute form of dolphin.
Was that awesome?
Yeah, now you got to be a bucket of water or some mist or some ice.
No, I'm going to be a panda bear.
No, I'm in the animal. I said one of the twin powers form one, and
I
then I
want to be
formed
a
it.
panda bear.
A panda or a koala?
Panda.
What does a panda bear look like? Quick.
Black and white.
Okay.